Hi, Jen Cascell here. Welcome to my channel. I am very excited to bring this episode to you today. This is going to be the first episode in my digital series. This is going to be a 4 or 5 part digital series depending upon how it goes. In each episode, I'm going to break down how I do what I do, how I use traditional paper crafting as well as digital tools to make all of my projects come to life. As you know, if you followed me, I'm definitely a hybrid paper crafter. I'm on several design teams for physical products as well as digital. I do a lot of work for Creative Fabrica, and most of the series is going to center around Creative Fabrica because they showcase so much. But with this episode, I really just kind of wanted to give you the basics. I wanted to give you some of the sites that I use, the tools that I use, what printer I use, all of my sources to make this whole thing come a little easier. And I think that going digital can be a little overwhelming at first, especially for somebody who's never done it before. I know a lot of you out there have asked me a ton of questions, so I hope this helps. And don't forget, if there's something specifically you want to hear, let me know in the comments. I would be happy to help. So let's get started. First, I'm going to talk about why I started digital. And honestly, it was because of the waste that I had. I was buying paper collection after paper collection, only using like 10 out of the 30 sheets that it came with. And I had all of this stuff stacking up in my craft room, and I knew I wasn't going to use it. So I was really kind of disappointed with how much waste I had going on. Second, I started realizing exactly how much cheaper it was to go digital on a lot of things. You know, I am a tried and true die cutter. I love die cutting. I've been die cutting for a very long time, but I also like my digital option of Cricut. You know, I love them for 2 different things. I love die cutting because of that nice crisp edge that you get. It's all perfectly shaped. It's a very, you don't have to think about it. Whereas Cricut, sometimes it can take a little longer. You've got a lot more versatility, and you know, I've been doing it for a long time, so it comes pretty natural to me. But I know for a lot of you out there, you're intimidated by that machine, and I want to help you with that too. That's one of the things that we're going to be covering in this series. But you know, a big portion of why I do digital is because I like having the ability to print my own papers as well as my own ephemera. When I would go out and buy like the newest Maggie Holmes collection, for instance, I would be spending upward of $100 on paper, ephemera, all of those fun little things that come out. Don't get me wrong, I still might buy some 12 by 12 when I really like a collection and I know I'm going to use it. But for the most part, I really just like to wait for the digital to come out, and you would be genuinely surprised at how many paper companies do a digital format of all of their products. I mean, obviously you're not going to get some of the cool, you know, keychains and stuff like that that are coming out with the collections, but I like to make those myself, so it doesn't really matter anyways. So I'm going to show you all of my sources, or I'm going to tell you where I get all of my sources for that. On top of it, you know, if I just want a piece of yellow polka dot paper, I'm not going to have to comb through all of my physical paper trying to find that one piece of yellow polka dot paper when I can just print one out at the ready from my computer. It's really convenient to have that option. So the printer that I use is HP, and I have had an HP printer since I started digitally probably 5-6 years ago. I recently upgraded, I think it was last summer. My brother actually gifted me a new printer, so I was really happy about that. But I had an HP before that, and the reason that I use HP is because of the Instant Ink program. And if you're not familiar with Instant Ink, it's super simple. So all of the HP printers that are Instant Ink compatible hook up through Wi-Fi, and your Wi-Fi is just going to tell your printer when you need more ink. When I need more ink, HP is notified and I'm sent some more ink. So I always have ink on hand and it's super affordable. So I pay $7 a month and I can print up to 100 pages. That's a lot. I do a lot of design teamwork. Most people could probably go for the basic plan where you're printing 50 sheets a month, and I think it's like $5 or $6 per month. It's not crazy by any means. I never run out of ink because I always have backup available, and it does include full page color prints. So it is so cheap for me to do this. You do get rollover pages. So sometimes during Christmas, if I'm doing in-person events or kits, then I'm printing more than 100 sheets. That's okay because I have 200 in rollover sheets available at the ready at all times. So I really like my plan, and if you're interested, if this is something that you think that you would want to do more of, I would highly recommend getting the HP Instant Ink. On a side note, I do not sublimate. I don't have a sublimation printer. It would not run under the HP. So if it's something that you do, that is a completely separate thing. As for what kind of paper I use in there, so I kind of toggle back and forth between two different papers. So I always have reamed Nia bright white cardstock on hand. I buy that, like I said, by the ream. I get a huge box of it. It's maybe $30, and I buy that like once per year. Second paper that I use, Koala, Koala, Koala. It is hands down the best photo paper out there, because that's what I do. I use for my better projects, for the ones that I know that like I want to be showstoppers, I use Koala. So Koala can be a little pricey. I do a lot of work for them, so I don't really pay for it too much, but you can get it on Amazon. I will link everything in the description box. Koala has a lot of different kinds of photo paper as well. The one that I use the most of is their matte double-sided photo paper. It runs about $17 to $21 depending where you get it, and you get 100 sheets for that. So not a bad price, not a bad price at all. It's just a little more expensive than buying the reams of Nia, which is also a really good paper, don't get me wrong. Also, Koala comes in the photo glossy paper, which I really love. Here is their 48 pound. Remember, when you are working with photo paper, the pounds that you would normally use are not the same as you would with cardstock. This is a 48 pound photo paper, and it does not feel like a really thin, copy weight paper, essentially. Not at all. But and Koala comes in a whole bunch of different weights too. So the matte double-sided that I use, I don't see it on here, but I would say it feels like 90 to 100 pound cardstock. It is not 90 to 100 pound cardstock. I want to say it's maybe 60 or 70, something like that. As for what cutting machines that I use, obviously you see my two Cricuts over here. I do have a Silhouette as well. For this digital series, we are going to be using Cricut for any of the projects that we're doing. You will see Design Space in my screen. I do use Silhouette occasionally. I'm not as proficient with the software. That's why we will be using Cricut. I am super comfortable with Cricut, and I feel comfortable teaching a class on Cricut. I don't feel comfortable teaching a class on Silhouette. Sometimes I still get stuck. So moving forward, we will be talking Cricut mainly and Design Space. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was my sources for digital. Obviously, I work for Creative Fabrica. We are going to be using a lot of Creative Fabrica. For my subscriber, Creative Fabrica is offering 1 month free. 1 month at Creative Fabrica is up to 10 downloads, And then you can also pay per download at Creative Fabrica, or you can buy the 1 year, and the year for Creative Fabrica is not pricey at all. I think you can find it for as little as $42. I want to say I've seen it, but somewhere between $40 and $60 you'll pay for a year of Creative Fabrica, which is unlimited downloads. I mean, that's insane. And they have everything from paper, ephemera, fonts, so many different fonts, you guys, and 3D SVG files, which you know I love to do. I don't say it enough on here because a lot of the work that I do for Creative Fabrica, it's all Instagram work. So you don't see it as much on my channel. I know I talk about it occasionally, but I use Creative Fabrica for everything. It's such a great site and I can't say enough about it. So we are going to be focusing on that because once again, they have it all. So you may want to pick up that 1 month if you're following along with this. I talked about it briefly in the beginning. A lot of your really popular paper companies out there offer all of their collections in digital. So my top 3 that I use are AC Digital, which is all American Crafts. That means Maggie Holmes, Crate Paper, American Crafts, obviously, One Canoe, Two Canoe. I get all of my Paige Evans from there, and you're buying it. So once again, I used to spend about $100 on a paper collection, not even blinking an eye. You can usually find the entire, it's called their like mega collection or something, on AC Digitals for, let's say, the B Valent Poppy and Pear collection. I got that for $23. And in unlimited downloads, I've been using the crap out of it. $23. Can't beat it. I also like Snap Click Supply. Once again, I'll be linking all of this in the description box. Snap Click Supply is my source for anything Echo Park. And they do have all of their paper collections as well as SVG files. Echo Park's SVG files are pretty basic. They're just like the dies that they produce. So I haven't bought any SVGs from them, but it would be a good source if you're really into like matchy-matchy. Me, I would rather make it myself and find it off more free sources that are out there for SVG files, such as Creative Fabrica, but I also subscribe to Design Space too. I think Creative Fabrica and Design Space go hand in hand. So I do the monthly, I think it's $10 for Cricut Access. Design Space is free if you're not familiar with it. It's just you're paying for Cricut Access, which they have like a million SVG files. So it's really nice just to have like the basics right there. And you don't have to do any outside searching to find your SVG files. That's why I like having Cricut Access. Outside of Creative Fabrica, some of my sources for 3D SVG files are going to be SVG Cuts, hands down one of my faves. You're going to be spending anywhere from like $3 to $10 for her SVGs, but they're absolutely amazing. And also Dreaming Tree is another great source for 3D SVG files. You can find some of the older Dreaming Tree files on Creative Fabrica, so keep that in mind. And last but not least, I do like My Scrap Chick. She has some amazing 3D SVG files, super cheap too. I don't think I've ever seen anything over like $5 at her site, but I do happen to shop there every great once in a while. So our next step on the series is uploading your paper files, uploading your ephemera, and fonts. We're going to work on fonts too next time around. So I will see you next week. If you have any questions regarding the digital series, if there's something you would like to see specifically, please let me know in the comments section. I would be happy to help. I will see you next week for part 2 of my digital series. Bye for now.